7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
He has a lot of problems.
Struggle to be top 5 in points at the end of the season.
Wow.
You bleach your hair, you're a sellout.
Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Moto Aftermath Show. This is episode number 277. We're back. We're here wrapping up Redbud. And me and Tom were out there this weekend, hanging out, doing stuff. Tom was mechanicking again, living the glory days.
Something like that. It was fun.
So we'll get into some stories about that. We're going to talk the race here and all sorts of other fun things. But before we get started, we'll just thank our sponsors here. So first up, show presented by Complete Racing Solutions. And this month for Complete Racing Solutions, we are... I can't talk today. I'm wiped. We are showcasing the... What are you doing?
I didn't know you wanted to show
Oh,
it
yeah, no, put it back there. It's good. It's fine.
All right.
We are showcasing the Coach Rob podcast here, navigating amateur motocross and navigating vet motocross. So make sure to go check those out. He has all sorts of guests on there. He does one per month. I know last month's guest was Andrew Short, talking about creating champions with your kids there as far as motocross stuff goes. And coming up in July here, little behind the scenes, the Tony Alessi is going to be on there, which I'm so excited to listen to that one.
Wealth of information.
So make sure to go check that out. He also has guys like Derek Harris from HP Race Development on there. And I've listened to a couple of them. They're fantastic. They really dive into some details of navigating amateur motocross because let's face it, if you don't know, you don't know. I know a little bit, but I'm not all the ins and outs of it because I'm just not that into amateur stuff.
Never were, never,
Yeah, never was, never. I don't know if I will be. Depends, I guess, probably how the kids' situation goes the rest of my life here, if I have more and if they're into it or whatever. But, yeah. So needless to say, make sure to go check that out. Also on board with us here, we're in the TLR Coatings studios here. All your custom powder coating and Cerakoting needs, make sure to go check them out at tlrcoatings.com or on all the major social media networks. We'll have our Isaac Nelson Designs Deegan Danger Zone. We will have our 450 race recap brought to you by our friends at Gutter Works. We will have our 250 race recap brought to you by Flo Racing. And we will probably have a Complete Racing Solutions halftime report there and a Holster Co. Reload rant. I don't know if I have much to rant on today. You got a rant? You upset about anything? Anything at all?
For the fans at home, we weren't even planning on doing a show. I happened to have stopped by the studio, and now we're like, hey, let's do a show. I'm like,
this is last second, like we're throwing this together. Also, I'm supposed to have Eric Grondahl on to talk about the re-release of Alias gear here. I texted him earlier about what time. I haven't heard back from him. So it may be a situation where we record this whole show and then at the end we throw that interview in, or that may go on next week's show. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. So, but at some point, Eric Grandal will be coming on to talk Alias gear. So, Tom, you mechanic this weekend.
Yes.
For Kev, because Kev was back at the races.
Kevin Morantz. Let's use the real names here for the fans at home.
Kevin Morantz doing a couple of races here this summer. He'll be at Spring Creek next week. So if anybody's at Spring Creek, please let us know. Go by, say hi to Kev, say you heard about it on the show. Yeah. Basically, rough Supercross season, kind of coming off the couch, essentially. He took some time off to heal up, has been doing a little bit of training, but made it into the motos, which directly out too, which was the highlight of it. Motos didn't go as great, but not a huge surprise since we're not doing the whole season training for the whole thing, essentially. So,
such potential.
I mean, it's been a rough year. There was a lot of potential coming into the season. Last year was really good. 15 out of 17 Supercross mains. Like, he had a top, wasn't he top 15, top 10 at Seattle there in the rain or something like that. And then this year, just sidetracked, just concussion, injury, big crash, time off. Just really kicked him right in the nuts, essentially. So
there's that.
So anyway, how was your day yesterday, wrenching?
Well, first and foremost, it makes for a long day. I do it a couple of races at least a year, kind of as a hobby, if you will. Mm-hmm. People I like. Kevin's been the one for the last handful of years, but I used to do, for the fans at home that don't know who I am, I used to work for KTM and a bunch of other racers, and I used to race too, right? So back then, when it's your full-time gig, like it's an everyday gig, and you're kind of a well-oiled machine. I kind of come in for this example. Kev kind of showed up with his van and the bike already kind of ready to go. Mm-hmm. So it's more like the race day stuff, which is fun.
Which involves what? Let's explain that to them, because I'm not sure everybody understands, like with some of these privateer guys who show up where you're not really their full-time mechanic. Like, what does this entail?
So you're not building the whole bike in this example. So for this weekend, you get the bike ready for practice. You get his stuff all figured out. And one of the things about doing when you're not a full-time gig, you got to figure out where the hell everything is and how the different riders like their day to go differently.
Yep.
What they like communicated on the pit board, where they keep all their stuff in the van, deal with the girlfriend stuff, which Kevin's girlfriend's fantastic, which is nice.
Yeah.
But some of them are more of a, you got to babysit, you know what I mean?
I heard about one yesterday that's a real, I'm not going to say who,
It happens.
Old acquaintance, and that's anyway.
Well, in a lot of those examples, a little bit of a tangent here, it can be a distraction. And
yes.
One of the things that I really am kind of, not that I have much to do with it, but something that I feel that Kevin has to deal with in his experience right now with trying to become a race winner is he signs himself up for all the distractions, if you will, that he can get, because it's his way of getting support to get to the races and be competitive. But the problem with that is, to be a Ricky Carmichael, you got to be really focused, right? So that being said, part of my gig, and I'll get back to where I was headed with that, part of my gig is mitigating that, having the fans be, having Kevin be accessible to the fans when it's the appropriate time, not any time. And Rachel, his girlfriend, is really good at that too. She's really nice, which helps. They're both super nice people. Sometimes you need somebody that's a little stern, tell people to get lost or whatever. This isn't the situation that had to come up this weekend, but yeah. So to get back to it, so you do all the bike setup stuff. Like, you don't build the bike from the frame down for these races. Whereas if you were a full time, like Jade Dungy with Plessinger, for example, who I was with a bunch this weekend. He's got to tear the bike all the way down to the frame, rebuild the bike. Their engine guy builds their engines. The bike shows up ready to go for me. I have to go through the whole bike, and we had a couple of fire alarms trying to find a couple stupid little parts, right? But
No. Let's tell this story. So we're there Friday. They're getting the bike ready. I was talking to Justin, my dad, and all of a sudden I hear a snap. And Tom has...
We're readjusting his
clutch lever.
It's very, very... Every single person that's ever ridden moves their shit around, right? Well, these KTMs, the clutch side, I'm just one hand, and it's not tightening. It's just continuing to, spin, and then it goes tink, and it breaks. Well, Kev thought I broke his actual master cylinder, and he's
did.
Pissed. I've never seen Kevin mad before.
I've never seen Kev that mad before either. And the funny thing is not only was he mad, he was so mad and completely fucked up about it that he had actually thought that Tom had broke. So Kev has a oversized front brake master cylinder, which he does not have an extra of, and it's a pretty specialty part that he got. So Kev thought that he had broken the front brake master cylinder and the
it was a clutch side.
The actual one. When in reality, he broke the clutch side, and all it was the little clamp piece that goes on the other side of the bar.
And it's the stock part that is notoriously break in that spot.
Yes, Tom went to KTM
to
ask about it, and they said, we break these all the time.
We don't run them because
they break.
It's notorious. And I'm like, okay, well, now it makes sense why they break, because I'm literally one hand...
And it took Kevin a few minutes to figure it out this is all he broke. I turned around, immediately saw it, and I was like, okay, no big deal. Like, if anybody can track one down, it's you, because you talk to everybody. Right. Yeah, just give him 15 minutes. He'll run around and find one. If not, we have enough people there with newer KTM stuff that we know. we'll find one to put on there.
Mind you, this is a stock part.
Yes.
And he has a backup bike, and on the backup bike is the upgraded part,
upgraded one,
which we didn't use. And to reiterate why we didn't use it, it's because these things, when you are not a well-oiled machine right now, like Kevin's not a well-oiled machine per se for outdoors, you don't want to make changes to something that could be a feel thing, right? Now, this wouldn't really be a feel thing because it's how it clamps to the bar, but as a racer, you think about these things, right?
Yeah.
Just like how you think about when you hear tink, you're like, oh, worst case, you tighten the bolt and my bike's ruined, right? Well, it was one of those things. So
So needless to say,
20 minutes later, we're in good shape.
Yeah,
there was
20 minutes later, we had a new one bolted on. No big deal.
I walked back over and Kev gives me a hug and he's like, "Oh, it's not a big deal." I was like,
Kev,
okay,
Kev
fine.
figured it out after a few minutes and literally yelled at Tom before Tom even got that far away to be like, "Hey man, my bad." But it was funny because we all were like, "Man, we've never seen him that
I have
mad."
never seen him mad, and it was again, it was even if it was the other thing, it's not a huge problem, but it was just one of those.
It was
Right when you get started setting the bike up, and it was like, hey, I sat on the bike. I'm like, move your lever over a little bit because I'm a racer, I'm a retired racer, and I'm real particular about my controls. And he's a similar style to the way that I ride, as far as positioning wise. And I'm like, I like where your brake's at. I don't like where your clutch is at. And he looks at it and he goes, yeah, let's move it.
Yeah.
And that's when we moved it, and it was dink, and it was a teeny tiny cast part.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Now, race day. Let's go through race day. What does race day entail for you? So you get there about 7 o'clock.
So what we were just talking about is it was actually just after tech inspection on Friday, but the bike was already set up.
Yeah.
For the most part. Now, morning of, these KTMs have air forks, so you set your pressures up, your tire pressures, check everything over. Because I never worked on his bike, really, and since it was a different bike last time I saw him, right? So I don't know who's worked on it, and I got to make sure everything's tight. So, and not just tight, but like correct tightness. You really just go over the bike in this situation, and then after the first practice, let me back up a little bit. Then you get, as a race mechanic, you get all the backpack of tools and goggles, the fuel, glove, all the spares shit that I carry to the starting gate, all that stuff ready, pit board. He uses GoPros. We use really cool headsets. There's a lot of random BS that goes involved. And not being a part of a team, like he is a team, but he didn't bring his rig. That means with the van, you got to deal with where's the power washer, what we're using for a power washer, all these little things you don't think about, right?
Yep.
So you get those things handled throughout the morning, particularly before practice, because I'm a pro's pro, right? So I like being prepared before it's time. But there are things that continue to come up. So anyways, so you get the bike prepared, and with air forks, for the fans at home that work on their own shit, tire pressure and fork pressure, every 10 degrees that the ambient air temperature, so the air outside, goes up or down, is 1 pound of difference, roughly, for air pressure in, let's just say, tires. If it goes from 40 degrees ambient air temperature to 60 degrees, well, you probably went up 2 pounds.
2 pounds, yep.
So you got to check it, not just in the morning, but particularly just before he goes out.
This is one of those things that most normal people don't do. You don't check your tire pressure. You probably check your fork pressure, but not always, and your sag. These are like the
sag too.
These are like the three things that like us normal people won't do. We're just gonna go ride like whatever. But this is the difference between us and pros, is like they will do that, and the factory teams do it right before they go out. So anyway,
we did sag. There's 100 things you do to start the day.
Yeah.
In my position, it's kind of funny to think about it now because I've been doing it for so long. You just do your thing, right? Well, anyways, go to practice. He's in A practice. I don't know how that happened, but boy, it played in his favor.
He knows a guy who knows a guy.
Don't say that shit on the air, but it was.
It's not what you know; it's who you know with things.
Well, maybe that's what it was, but I'm not saying that. But anyways, it played in his favor really well because he's not in season form, but he's able to. He's really fucking good, right? So he's able to hop out there and pace off of these good guys in A, and then came back, washed the bike, prepared it. his bike is pretty new, so as with any new bike or even a new car, if you're hammering it like that, a lot of things come loose. Not even loose, but like then you go to check the torques and things just aren't tight, right?
Yeah.
Not even like they fall out, just like, oh, it's loosened up a little bit, right? So go over the bike, check. He kept the same tire throughout the day. He ran a paddle. He's got a chubby about this, which I'm sure he's going to tell a story in the air, but
I mean, the paddle was all my idea.
yeah, something like
It
that.
was all me, and I won't hear anybody else tell me any different. Kev will probably tell you a different story, but I mean, I got there. I said, "Hey, man, you got a paddle?" He said, "Nope." I said, "You probably should get one," and he said, "All right." And then we went to Dunlop and got a paddle. I have the video of it.
I was actually thrilled about the Dunlop move. Nothing against his old, I think it's Pirelli before, but those guys at Dunlop have been helping me out for decades, and some of the guys that are there, like Brock Glover, are my straight up heroes.
Yep.
So that was cool. But anyways, yeah, get the bike ready for second practice, get his shit all together and ready to go. And Rachel, his girlfriend, who I call Cuz, because my last name's Cooper. I'm Tom Cooper. His girlfriend's name is Rachel Cooper, and we aren't related, but we jokingly call each other Cuz, so that's cool. But anyways, Cuz kind of runs the show around there, which is great. She's good at that. She's kind of an Ellie Reed, if you will, who was a good example to follow. Anyways, get ready for the second practice. Get shit together. Get the bike ready. Went out for second practice. The track got faster. The track wasn't as deep. The first practice was really deep. The second practice was not as deep. It wasn't hard base yet, but it was. Main lines were forming pretty good. The first practice was really a couple of preferred lines, and if you got outside of that, you're sinking in. So if you want to make a fast lap, you have to stick with a couple of main lines. Second practice was better. We got the Moto on up here.
Yeah, we're watching the second 450 Moto. We were there all day yesterday, but we're just trying to catch up on the stuff that was seen on TV here. So.
In my position, you don't see shit for the races throughout the day. You're in. I mean, I see the 450 motos from the mechanics area, but that's about it. But anyways, he got second practice. He went out and was kind of steaming around again, and was a little bit faster the second practice. And he went first practice. I think he was like 21st overall.
Yeah,
he was killed.
Yeah,
and then as the track kind of dried, it got faster.
Yes,
he got a little bit faster and was 31st overall after the second practice, and then it was, we'll see what happens with the B practice if there was anybody faster, and he ended up being 35th. Now, one of the things that ended up happening that worked in our favor is the second practice. There's 2 laps to go, and everybody's putting heaters in, get their time in, and someone, I may be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure someone crashed on the start straight, so that they or Laracos, to where they cut the practice 2 minutes short. So Kev being on the bubble may have been lucky in that regard.
Better be lucky than good.
Well, in that position, there may have been a couple guys that could have snuck in a heater that made him go to the LCQ. But he qualified no LCQ. That's great. We didn't know they didn't get in the LCQ. We weren't sure how the bubble was going to work. So in my position, you got to get back. Walk the bike a fucking half a mile away and wash the thing and get it full prep for an LCQ race. It's just in case he's in it.
Yep.
Right. Fortunately, he was 35th qualified and 36 qualified without an LCQ, so he got in without LCQ, which was great. But regardless, I had my bike pretty much ready before the LCQ even dropped, because I was in fucking get her going mode.
That is one of the funny things I noticed yesterday that I guess I haven't really noticed before. So I was walking around between the LCQs and first 250 Moto, and it's very relaxed. Everyone's chilling, everyone's talking, everyone's eating, everyone's just like getting ready for the next 4 hours of chaos.
Between when?
Between the LCQs getting done and then when first motos has to go to the gate there for 250 or whoever goes first, whatever. But the first moto of the day, it's very relaxed in the pits. So if you can get a pass where you can be in the pits all day, because that's when all the regular fans get kicked out too, is afternoon there. If you can get in there or you're in there, it's very relaxed. A lot of jaw jacking and just talking and stuff. So
for him,
yeah, There was a lot of people. I was actually surprised. Like all the factory teams, like everybody was just hanging, chilling. Like there didn't seem to be any fire drills that I noticed anywhere. So
I did have enough time to eat lunch today, or that yesterday.
That's good.
Normally, I shouldn't say normally, but in a situation where you're the first moto of the set, or in a situation where you're in the LCQ, you don't have time to do shit.
yeah.
Anyways, we made a few changes between the practice and the motos, and then between the motos. Throughout the day, we were making minor changes. But there's a lot of consulting that goes on, and like how we want to handle this kind of thing. So, it's just part of the gig.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun.
Cool.
The motos was real interesting. He's so good, and I expect excellence. No matter what we're doing, I don't care if you're working in a restaurant, I expect excellence. And he did real well. But I know he's got a higher ceiling than this.
I don't know. He's never done good outdoors since I've known him.
That doesn't mean nothing.
I'm just saying. It's like even when he was full training and like, I'll call it at his peak,
He can go better.
he was 25th to 30th.
He did a great job. And then
Yeah.
this is whatever. That being said, I've been in this a long time. He has a lot more in him. And now that being said, for the situation at hand, and coming off of not being in any races since Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
pretty good job. Qualified in, rode well. He looked good.
See what next weekend brings.
Well, he'll do well there.
I think so.
But I the whole time I was thinking to myself how much I want to help him win, not help him get by. I'm not saying he's just getting by, but what I am saying is that I see a winner in him, and I want to help harvest that. Back to the races here. So we made a couple changes between the motos, and shout out to Cade Clayson. Kev has I'm not going to haul him out here, but Cade let us use his power washer, and the thing worked great. And without having that hookup, it would have been a way annoying day, because you have to wash, for me in my position, you have to wash the bike 5-6 times in a day. And if it takes you 10 minutes instead of 40 minutes, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
A huge difference. Anyways, it went good. We got a couple of minor changes throughout the day, and being in the mechanics area is funny. Most of these guys, I've been in this a long time, most of these guys are familiar faces. And like we were talking about the stupid part breaking, and I went to see Jay Dungy about it. Well, he and I were standing next to each other most of the day, and he's a funny son of a gun, man. He is a funny dude. And even like when he's doing the pit board, and like he yells at people, it's hilarious. Not like mean, but like,
Hey, idiot.
it's like Will Ferrell standing next to you all day. I swear
Yeah.
to you, it's funny.
All right. Let's move on here. We'll keep this rather shortish today, because mostly I'm tired and I just don't want to do a 4 fucking hour show here. So 450 race recap brought to you by our friends at Worx. Always well hung, just like Justin Barsha. Make sure to check them out. Links in the description down below. All right, 450s here. So Sexton goes 1-1, stamps this.
Final lap on no TV right now.
Yep. Basically, I had made the comments leading into the weekend after the whole jet news came out that it was between him and Hunter. And if Hunter could win a moto this weekend, it would be a dogfight the rest of the summer. If Hunter couldn't, then it was basically going to be a runaway. At this point now, Chase can beat himself, and that's basically it.
This is his opinion.
I mean, I don't know. Hunter looked like he was probably going to win that first moto till he went
looked
down.
sick.
But then too, Chase like caught him, and then Chase would lose a little bit, and then Chase caught him. Like Chase is clearly faster.
So what's that say about a runway? It says you got a good fucking race on your hands here.
Hunter needs to win next weekend. Now we did get dicked a little bit, because with Hunter going down there, it from what I know, talking about to the Honda people yesterday when we went by there after the race, it just kind of took the wind out of his sails for the day, which is kind of what led to that second moto being the way it was. But if he wants to stay in this, he's got to win. He's got to win at least a moto next week. because otherwise it's going to start to get out of control here.
What do you mean for him to stay in this? The points chase, we're about C's. Can't be that hard.
Sexton is, let's see here. So Sexton's got 260 points, and Hunter has 253. So we got a 7-point difference.
That's nothing. That's nothing. Quit talking about a runaway.
I mean, the problem is that Hunter hasn't really won a moto or done well in a moto, and what I mean by that is beat him and Jet, Chase and Jet, since he got the points lead. He got the points lead that weekend that Jet went down, and then has basically just been carrying that forward here. But he hasn't really beat these guys since then. So you go 2 more motos where you get beat both of them by the same guy. That starts to turn into a mental problem then of like, fuck, can I actually beat this guy? I don't know.
How many are left?
5?
5 rounds, 10
5
motos.
rounds. 10 motos, yep.
7 points is nothing.
I know 7 points isn't a lot. I'm just saying from a mental aspect here, you got to start to win something because he hasn't beat Chase in I don't know how many motos here.
Yeah.
That's the problem there. It's not the 7 points. The 7 points is like, yeah, whatever. You know, Chase gets a third and he wins. We're 1 point difference. Like, that happens. Whatever.
That's one moto.
That's one moto. I understand. I'm just saying, you got to start to, because you have to believe, this is the same thing when Jet went down in Hangtown. Chase wins that first moto, then comes out, has that ride the second moto. That starts instilling confidence that he can run with him and actually beat him. And then here we go. We've seen what we've seen. Now you get it where he's like, well, this dude, now Jet's gone. Okay, cool. That chess piece is off the table. Now you've got Hunter, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, Hunter's fast, and like, yeah, he can get hole shots and lead me, but I catch him, and I fucking beat him every time now. So, like...
Hey, can I do you a favor real quick?
Yeah.
Your tag's hanging on in your hat. Help me
Oh,
out.
is it? Yeah, that'll happen.
I hate that shit myself.
Okay. Anyway.
You look good, you feel good.
Look good, feel good. So anyway, so yeah, so that's where I think it leads to, is if it's on a mental side, not so much a points thing. Now, then again, too, as you always say, nothing's ever guaranteed. Chase can hit the ground, get a shitty finish, 1 moto, Hunter wins, and we're right back together.
Kevin Moranski won't win next week, for all you know.
I mean, he could, but it's just, I don't know, man. It starts leading down a path of like, what do you really like? What's your mental mindset? Is your mental mindset, hey, I can beat him? So, any thoughts on Sexton going 1-1? He looked killer yesterday.
That's awesome. So I'll tell a story we were talking about a few minutes ago. I'm standing in the mechanics area, second moto, probably 7 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. Kevin's battling with this Japanese dude I never heard of, who's good.
Yeah.
And Chase is coming up on him to lap him.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And
I know the story now.
We're coming around the mechanics area. So the first corner, left-hander by the mechanics area, left-hander, and then a right-hander with a hump on the inside, and then the ski jump.
Mm-hmm.
And Kev comes around his right hander. I'm like, yeah, it looks pretty fucking good. He's going to catch this Japanese dude. And Chase Sexton comes around that corner a full gear faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, whoa. I've been in this my whole life. And I said, whoa. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, when I was watching the first moto, I didn't actually know who won because I had a shit going on. But in the first moto, when I was watching, I said, it's going to be hard to beat Hunter Lawrence today.
Mm-hmm.
So, shout out to Chase. It was the coolest race to win for him.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cool that he won.
Because he hadn't won a moto, let alone an overall at Redbud, his home race. So,
now Hunter had the points lead, and now Chase has it, and that was a 10-point swing.
No, that's overall results. Hold on a second.
Oh,
we'll get to the.
Yeah, 10-point swing. He made 10 points on him. Now he's up by 7, so that's a 10-point swing.
I think they were only 3 behind, and now he's up by 3. So it's a 6-point swing on the day.
I thought you just said he's up by 7.
I don't fucking know. I'm so maybe. I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know what's happening.
This is
now.
awesome. I'm so happy to see that.
Yeah, it was busy this weekend too. Really busy.
Redbud's so fun, but the place was packed. It was awesome.
AP goes 4-2 for second. That was a great ride for him.
He looks super good.
This is just the kind of stuff I see from him all the time. He's just going to be there. He's not quite championship dude. He'll be championship dude if
He could be.
he's one of those dudes that could sneak one in if everybody else has major issues, but he doesn't have that last little bit of, I don't know if you call it speed, grit, whatever.
It's just a tiny amount.
It's half a click off basically. So, but that was cool to see him yesterday get second, go 4-2.
I think that
He rode well.
Number 7 gets 2 more moto wins this summer.
That'd be cool to see.
2 motos.
Hunter goes 2-4 for third. Like I said, talking to the Honda guys, he was totally fine, was what I heard or what I was told. He was fine. It's just it took the wind out of his sails when he hit the ground. And I will tell you, the way he hit the ground in that first moto coming down that hill, that was not fun.
Buried in.
I mean, I know I watch how fast those guys come off that hill, so it's not slow. And then to just freaking pile drive yourself in, terrible.
We're a lot of 450 guys doing the leap.
So not in first practice. First practice there was half a dozen maybe, if that.
As the day went on and it dried out, you can carry a lot more momentum.
Yeah. And Kev had said that, because I asked Kev after first practice about it, and he was like, the corner's terrible.
Yeah, it was too deep.
Which makes sense. So,
Once it dried out, though, for the motos,
Yeah.
it was dried out. You can carry a lot more momentum through that corner. Honestly, I mean, I didn't ride it, but it looked like the easiest I had seen Redbud in a long time. Usually you can't fucking make it.
yeah. Since they changed it last year, it's definitely more jumper friendly, we'll call it. So
I'm on the other side of the track, so I can't see that. But I was real curious.
I was too most of the day outside of first practice and first and second practice. So, all right, Jason Anderson goes 5-3 for fourth.
Looked great.
Yeah, looked really good.
Aggressive.
Really happy with the day there. Led that second moto for a little bit there, whole shot and lead for a little bit. So that was cool.
Him and the Australian dude,
Yeah,
Webster.
Yep, had a good battle. His trainer, if you haven't seen him, we talked to his trainer, John Wessling, in the reaction show. Said that they were super happy with it. Really good day for him. Super pumped. Also told us that he will get moto wins over Plessinger the rest of the year.
That was kind of rude on my part. That's okay.
Nah, it's okay. It was funny. He was laughing about it. So
He could get one.
yeah. Oh yeah, he could. He could, especially
He's
with
a
Jet
holy.
being gone now.
You can't do it without a whole shot.
No. Justin Cooper goes 3-6 for fifth. He rode super good yesterday. He was smooth all day. Sexton and the Kawasaki guys, Anderson and Tickle, who we'll get to, they all rode press and were working on the leap and press or whatever. Justin Cooper did not ride press, and he was greasing that leap. Greased it from the first go yesterday. Like probably one of the smoothest guys I saw jump the leap all day.
Yeah.
So
He's really good.
He is
his
super
mid
good.
corner speed is the best. Mm-hmm. Some of the guys like Jet kind of bunny hop their way through the braking bumps, and their corner entry is real good. Justin Cooper's corner mid is really good. Mm-hmm. His roll speed. He
has to be like one of the quietest, best dudes out there. Like just sneaking around of doing what he's doing.
This guy's nothing quiet about him. Number 7.
No,
Awesome.
that cowboy's just out there yeehawing, Redbud and everywhere,
He's halfway between Dale Earnhardt and Macho Man Randy Savage.
and it's the best
love
thing
him.
ever.
He's awesome.
It's the best thing ever.
My nieces in love. My nieces and nephews love that guy, so they got his autograph and stuff. And it was prior to practice, like maybe second practice when you do your practice starts for 5 minutes. We were next to Plessinger, and they're doing interviews and stuff. And it's like, man, I hope my nieces and nephews see this because cool. You know what I mean? Like some of those things you don't forget when you're little.
Yep.
I love that stuff.
Yep. Malcolm Stewart goes 6-7 for sixth. That's a good ride for him as far as outdoors go, in my opinion. So he was
looked awesome. He looked great.
tip over second moto there, cost him a spot.
He was 6th, right?
I think so. Yeah, most of that moto, and then he tipped over at the top after that uphill triple in the back there.
Oh,
Yeah, so which doesn't surprise me. The ruts got a little bit deep. They were not as bad as what they said they were for practice on Thursday. For the amateur practice, I heard it was terrible, but it was pretty.
shoot. Was it muddy?
Oh yeah, they said everybody I talked to said that the Thursday amateur practice was fucking horrible. They had 110 people per practice on the track.
Damn. Mm-hmm. I don't love that.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
I do love Redbud. I got a lot of laps
I do
there.
too, but I'd rather go do a local race where there's not that many people than do national weekend anymore.
The thing for me is safety for myself. Mm-hmm. And when you're on a track, especially for me, like whether I'm going faster than everybody else or whether there are people out there that are slower than me, it's dangerous.
Yep.
Shit happens real quick.
My thing is that like, so I've done the national weekend stuff, like the practice day there with that many people. It's like all you're running is from yellow flag to yellow flag, and you can't get any momentum going. You're rolling stuff, really.
Especially when you're in seat practice. That's brutal.
Oh, it is. I'm telling you, it's literally yellow flag to yellow flag to yellow flag. So
Doggy paddling their way around.
Yep. Marchbank 7-8 for 7th. I think this is a good comeback for Garrett here, coming off the injury. So we'll see if he makes that SMX playoffs or not. Kyle Webster 10-9 for 8th. Great second moto.
Kyle who? Looked awesome.
Sounds like I have no idea.
Awesome.
Australian leading the points in the 450 class in Australia. They have a big break here. That's why I came over and did a couple.
Killer starts.
Dude, that second moto start was insane. He came around, and I have it on film of him going over the ski jump there, and I'm like, holy shit, Kyle Webster just pulled a hole shot. That's nuts. Little rough at the, like, he definitely faded a little bit. That happens. But a little rough, too. The exhaust fell off at the end of the moto.
Oh.
It was literally, like, last 2 laps was flopping like this when he went by. I'm like, oh, poor guy. So, but that was a great way to wrap up his USA tour here. So, shout out to him. Harry Coulis, 9-12 for 9th.
Look good.
Had some Estonia girls by the turn at the bottom of the ski jump with the Estonia flag. Every lap he went by, just freaking screaming. Maybe it was his wife. I don't know.
Love it.
But that was cool. Christian Craig goes 8-13 for 10th.
He was... I saw him a few times in the mechanics area, and he was not having a great time.
I don't think that Husky's been a great time for him since he got on it. And I don't think it's gotten any better. And I'll be interested to see what he does next year.
Is he under contract another year?
No, he's out after this year. But still big Christian Craig fans over here. And Paige Craig. Pretty much both of them. Great people.
I respect him as a racer. He's very skilled. He's one of the most skilled guys we have. He still could be competitive, but I really respect the family man in him.
Yeah.
And his bride. Bride goals.
Yep, super cool. So Grant Harlan had a good day, 11-11 for 11th. So that's cool.
Fucker damn near ran me over.
That's awesome. In the pits?
Coming out of the, like as the race ends, the mechanics walk out of the mechanics area and the riders come off the track. It's a good thing I was watching, because he wasn't, or something.
Dylan Ferrandis, hating life right now, 19-5 for 12. Actually, that first moto was rough because him and Phil, so he got bumped by a guy coming through the chicane before the finish, and then
He had to come from way back dead last.
Yeah, and then ended up getting caught up with Phil there. Typical Phil, gets up and does this. So, yeah, I mean, but he's not a fan of that Honda anymore. So he was very excited to get on it, and from what I understand now, he's very not excited about it. So here we are.
He rode great. I'll be honest with you. He didn't look bad. He didn't look like a race winner, but he looked...
Yeah, he looks good.
Like 14.
Yeah. Brock Tickle making a triumphant return to racing here. 12-15 for 13th. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much where I thought he'd slot in. Somewhere 10 to 15 range. I mean, he hasn't raced in years. And they got him in Impress, and he was the first guy to huck the leap, and he was just greasing it. Like, out of everybody else was like, a little short, a little long. Nope, Tickle, just greasing it.
Those factory bikes got to be sweet, huh?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Marshall Welton, 17-14 for 14th.
Did he go down the first moto?
Yes. He had a bit of a rough day. But
I think both of them he came from behind because
he didn't
Kevin
look...
was in like 30 range.
He rode press too and didn't look good on press day either. So
he's so good. He crashed pretty hard last week though, so
yeah,
maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean he was okay. I saw him walking with his chick after the race, so he obviously isn't hurt, but yeah, well, whatever. Phil goes 28-10 for 15th. Again, got caught up with Dylan there in that first moto, so coming from way back. Shane McElrath goes 13-19 for 16th. Okay, that's pretty much Shane. Anthony Rodriguez, Wildcat Racing. Wow. Wildcat. Goes 14-20 for 17. Alvin Oslin, that's how it is. 18-17 for 18th. Colin Park, 15-26 for 19th. His exhaust was blowing up on him, too, that second moto.
This is awesome.
His bike sounded terrible.
Evan the deer.
Champagne showers and the fucking deer. That deer is awesome.
That's so good.
Let's
Nothing like
see.
Redbud, baby.
Roman Pope goes 24-16 for 20th. And Freddie Freddie.
Dude, he's lucky to be alive.
He is 16 DNF for 21st.
He first framed Larocco's on practice.
Q1, framed the shit out of it. I have my view and a different view of him framing the shit out. I also have pictures and videos of the bike. Fucking destroyed.
I gotta see it.
Whole ass end from where the subframe mounts back, just destroyed. And then he framed it again in the second moto and DNF'd, which I thought was really funny because he did it early in the moto, and I was standing next to his wife watching the race, and she stood and watched the rest of the race. I was just like, you realize your husband's not out here anymore, right? So anyway, but I am glad he's okay. Chiz had a rough day. Yeah, dude. He was like side saddled on the bike first practice over Larocco's, like first or second lap, not even trying to jump it. I don't even know what happened. But he was like side saddle and then went down. Michigan's own Jeff Walker made the motos, went 30-36 for 35.
He and Kevin were
battling,
having hella battles.
And then Kev was like, fuck it, I'm going to send the leap and put 2 seconds on him. And that was it.
Well, and then I think that Jeff hurt his knee a little bit too. Oh, there's a crash.
Yeah.
We're watching Ferrandis and
Phil here trying to get
up.
their bikes apart.
Their bikes are playing Twister.
Yep. And then Jace Kessler also made the motos and goes 37-35 for 38th.
I talked to him before first or second moto, and I was kind of like, look, dude, you need to represent for us local boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's having a little tough time right now, so see what he can do.
Yep.
He's got the skill to do it.
He does. And that's been your 450 race recap brought to you by our friends at Gutterworks. Always well hung, just like Justin Barsha, who didn't race this week.
He was there.
Was he?
Hell yeah, he was. He was with us all day.
I didn't see him.
Nice guy. You want to see him do well, and apparently his knee injury doesn't require surgery, also known as his race season doesn't require his super motocross playoff chances.
Contract does not require him to ride.
Doesn't require him to do outdoors. He's already got his ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, he was there. Jet was there, windmilling people on in his cast all day, so that was cool. Saw him first moto windmilling Hymas on, so
Love to see that.
yeah, it was great to see him show up. Of course, we were like, I mean, you were standing there, we were joking with his mechanic after the race about like, well, everybody he hangs out with is here, so he might as well have come. Like, otherwise, what's he gonna do? Stay at home by himself? So, anyway, Complete Racing Solutions halftime report here. Holster Co. Reload rant. You got a rant?
Let me think about it.
I'm trying to think if there was anything that really pissed me off this weekend.
Everybody hollered at me about the flagger situation with Deegan, but the thing is...
Okay, yeah, we could go there. Go ahead.
We just talked about this one of the last shows I was on. Actually, the last 2 shows I was on. And yeah, it was kind of a tricky thing because the AMA guy came to blue flag riders out of the way, who one of the guys that needed blue flag was the guy that went down.
Mm-hmm.
But when a guy comes in and kind of takes... mind you, I have barely seen this. Just a couple of clips, but... when the AMA guy comes and takes your spot as a flagger, now you kind of have too many chiefs, too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then when it was time for yellow flag, the AMA guy's fumbling around for it. Well, it takes 2 seconds for the guy to go down and Deegan's on top of him, right? So it's tricky. Now, the yellow lights are a real tricky thing where it could be very easily utilized. I don't know how many there are on the track.
So they do have yellow lights.
Was it there, though?
On all the jumps there.
Okay.
Because all of the jumps are pretty much blind there.
Yeah.
So they do have yellow lights. Now, here's my thing. I'm not exactly sure who controls the yellow lights at the outdoors.
And it has to be like the blink of an eye
Yeah,
response.
and like here is my thought on this. Okay, cool. If that AMA guy is supposed to control the lights also, and that's what he's fumbling with is, I got to put the blue flag away, I need to get the yellow flag out, and I got to find this remote control on me to press for the lights.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's get somebody else to do the lights, just like we do with Supercross, where their sole goal is they stand there, they watch, somebody crashes, boom, they hit it, immediately the lights are on. That way, even if the flag's not out, the lights and the sirens are on.
I believe it's someone in the tower that controls the lights, but I don't know. Now, the thing about that is that this happens in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. That's the thing, is if you really count the seconds, there's not that many seconds between that dude crashing and Deegan coming over that jump.
Yeah.
Like this, there's a lot of these flagger issues that I'm fully on board with of, hey, this needs to be the promoters, AMA, they need to get their head out of their ass and pay a full-time flag crew that goes to every single race to do this. However, this is not one of those situations.
And even when it is, like, for example, when you just a regular, it's not the weird AMA, you guys stand there thing. When someone crashes, the reaction of you seeing them crash and then flagging it, like
it's time.
At your best takes a second or whatever.
And
right?
that's if
your
you're watching.
Best.
Here is the key to this too, because I've watched this several times now. Because I had multiple people send it to me.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the Deegan thing or whatever. Right? That flagger guy is blue flagging. So he's looking here where the guys are coming.
Exactly.
He's not watching behind him where this dude is crashing.
And he notices it quickly, but
he
how
does,
quickly is
yes,
quick?
but it's not quick enough, obviously, because there were several other. And I mean, it almost took Vial and what's his nuts out too, who jumped right by him, Masterpool or whatever. Like, we're still not sure how Vial missed that because that was freaking wild. So yeah, so that's my thing is like there are time to get at the AMA about flaggers. This is not one of them.
I had a few people message me, racers even, who were like, "Who's getting fired over this?" And it's like, well, I don't think it's quite that simple.
It's not that
this is
egregious
just
of a
one
thing.
of those things that happens from time to time.
The press day thing at Paula was way worse.
Yeah, and
was
that
way
was
worse.
One of the words we talked about. I
Yeah.
understand.
So I don't know, but that's my Holster Co rant. Is like this is not necessarily as big of a flagger issue as what we've seen before. It's not a lack. It's not a lack of flaggers. It's just it's a weird.
There was kind of too many there.
Yeah, this is just a weird situation.
Now, to recap from when we talked about that previously, my solution, which may have been helpful in the situation, is I would like to see the bar pad, the ends of the bar pad, have lights in them, so you have red flag or red light for when the race is red flagged.
Yep.
Yellow for when it's a caution like that. Now it goes back to how is it triggered, right? So you could have the bikes have a crash sensor. But I don't know that the crash sensor goes off in all these situations, right?
Yeah.
But this is one of those situations that if you have the light up bar pad and you had someone flagging or triggering it quickly, that could be a remedy. But there's not a lot of great solutions for this.
Yep. So, all right. So that was the Holster Co reload rant. Do you want to go pull your parts out so they can cool down here while we're finishing this up?
Good idea.
I was going to say, I'll talk Combine here because you didn't watch the Combine at all, did you?
No, I was working.
Okay.
No, I was actually.
I was going to say, you got there after that happened. All right, so the Combine happened this weekend, too. A couple of big hitters in there. We had Janik, we had Landon Gordon, Adams kid, I'm blanking on Cole Davies, a couple other ones, right? Okay, so the Combine got cut short. We had a lightning strike and a rainstorm, a secondary one on Friday there. So it got pushed back to start with because of the rain in the morning, and they pushed back the amateur racing, and then we had a lightning strike, which ended up just canceling all the second motos. Now that first moto was pretty crazy. So Landon Gordon gets the whole shot. He's running away. He's putting time on Janik and who was it? Fauci or whatever. KTM kid. Anyway, so he's putting time on those two kids there. Adams got an absolutely terrible start. No surprise. I've heard Adams is not good at starts no matter what. And then we get about 10 minutes into the moto, and you start to notice that the Gordon kid is starting to fade, and Janik's starting to cut into this lead. And then we get down to like the last lap. I believe we looked it up. It was like 2 to 3 laps. Adams, who was moving through the field.
The deer.
He's riding the deer. That's hilarious. Adams is 8 seconds a lap faster than those guys in front of him, which was mind-blowing. And then you get to white flag.
He's going to be really good.
And Adams is on Janik. And then in the last lap there, you have Gordon comes up to the last chicane before the finish, literally leading, has about a 2-second lead, no problem, bring it home, catches a foot on a rut, drags his left foot off, causes him to tip over to the right, and Adams makes an absolutely insane run through the rollers, which is crazy because those rollers Friday were super deep. Even the pro guys, I have videos, you'll see them come up here on YouTube and on Instagram of these pro guys just struggling to get through rollers. But anyway,
brutal hair job.
No, dude, Lars is like super cool, man.
He is super cool, but
anyway, and Adams ends up winning that moto, which was wild, absolutely wild. Janik still ends up second. It was, dude, the end of it was what made it all worth it. Because outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot other than Adams coming through. Davies got a shit start and then just didn't really do anything, which was interesting because I heard in qualifying practice in the morning, he ended up getting around Adams and yarded him. So we were pretty high that he was going to actually throw his hat in the ring there, but just did not have a good moto, period.
And there was only one combine moto, correct? Because there was a huge storm that came in.
Yep. So
I missed the damn combine, and the reason being is because I drove my 55 Chevy out there, my 55 Chevy pickup truck. Y'all may have seen it on Instagram or whatever, and it was awesome driving it out there. But when I pulled up to the starting area, or to the will call area to get my wristband, this thing I didn't even take it off yet. I've been kind of nursing the starter in it, and I was like, let's see if I can get it.
Somebody told me about this yesterday, and I was like, oh.
And I pulled up the will call, and I went to start it, and zzz, I had to put a fucking starter in, and I did it on my back in the grass. It took me about 10 minutes. The girls in the tent at first were laughing at me, and then when they saw me done in 10 minutes, they're like, damn. I was like, that's right. But I missed the damn combine moto.
Yeah.
So
like I said, it was pretty cool. The end of it was really cool. I'm excited to see all these kids battle it out again at Ironman here at the end of August, because that's the next one I'll be at. We'll see. I don't know. Adams, I think, is going to be really, really good. When they were like, he is 8 seconds a lap faster, because at the beginning of the moto, like he got a crap start and he was moving through, but it wasn't like anything noticeably impressive, where
was he that far back because of a bad start?
Oh yeah, no, his start was trash. And from what Justin told me, that's what his starts have been. Trash. So I don't know. Anyway, so that was basically it. I have a couple silly seasons things I'm working on, but I'll wait till the next show to really dive into those as far as pieces moving. Janik is involved in that, but we'll talk about that a little more when I try to confirm a couple more things.
I was right there for that crash. It was literally right in front of me.
So that I think is all I have for halftime report here. I don't have anything else outside of the racing to talk about. So that's been your...
Were you with either of the other hosts very much during the races?
No. Justin was down by the rollers, and I saw Cole in the morning up at the Leap. He was up there for first practices for the Leap, and I didn't see him again all day. Cole will be back next week, everybody, for the Millville show. So
I damn near got ran over by a guy in the pits that looked just like Cole. And if it would have been Cole, I would have kicked his ass just because he's my friend.
Yeah. So that's basically it there. So anyway, all right. So that's been your Complete Racing Solutions halftime report. Now moving on to your 250 race recap, brought to you by our friends at Flo Racing. If you got a little one who rides, make sure to look them up.
Good.
They really do a good job with all the mini bikes, but they can work on your big bikes too. And he does all the big national races.
Are they local?
Yes,
How local?
Three Rivers.
Oh, cool. 3 Rivers, Michigan.
30 minutes from here. So, so make sure to check them out. High-end P-dub builds, all that kind of cool stuff. So
he's probably in Loretta Lynn's prep mode.
Oh yeah, I'm actually surprised I don't have 20 frames from him right now, because usually we do this time of year. I'm gonna actually text him this week and be like, hey, how many frames are we doing? Because I usually end up doing at least a dozen a couple weeks before Loretta's there for the builds.
Interesting.
Because everybody's like, oh, what's the natural thing to do? Well, let's build a brand new bike for Loretta's, because that works well. So anyway, 250 race recap brought to you by Flo Racing. Okay, I put this in the reaction show. Hymus is the real deal, man.
And new Hymus on the spot. He's ready to go.
Yep. So he goes 4-1 for first overall. He rode so good. I don't know exactly that first moto there, what happened with that little fade at the end, but I mean, the first 25 minutes were Justin Cooper mode of like, all right, sweet dude, we get that last 5 minutes of fitness in us, we're good to go. So
I didn't see the end of the first moto yet. I gotta watch that.
And then
I watched the first a little bit because
Yeah.
I had the bike ready, so I went and watched. That's when I saw 16 crash right in front of me.
oh, okay.
And then maybe 5 minutes later, I walked back and got the bike ready for
Yep.
our moto.
Yep. Yeah. But to get that win in that second moto, that was awesome. Everybody's really happy for him. First of many. And I do think it's going to be first of many. He seems to be like punching his ticket as, hey guys, I'm here to fuck also.
Next in line.
Next in line. So
Him and Drew Adams are two guys that train with at Lawrence's, I think his dog.
yeah,
pound.
at Dog Pound.
And they're involved with a lot of those guys, including Dan Truman and others, and they have all the assets in their corner.
Yep. So be interesting to see where this goes. I want to see a battle where him and Deegan really battle, especially now that he's won a moto. He's got that confidence of, I can fucking do this.
He's got battle with Deegan confidence.
I don't know.
I think he's got the I can do this confidence, not the
I think
not
so.
the saber-tooth
So
tiger
here's the one
confidence.
thing, though, is that in amateurs, him and Deegan would end up in classes together.
Oh.
Not all the time, but sometimes because of the way the ages worked. And Hymas would lay the wood to him, from what I understand. I wasn't a huge amateur follower, so I don't know.
Never has been.
But from what I understand, yeah, Hymas and there's somebody else they were talking about would absolutely destroy him because they were like a year older at the amateur races, and then when the classes crossed over, it just didn't help. But Hymas gets it down to 42 points, so that's we're less than a full race weekend now.
You had told me that Hymas would be second in points and Levi would be fifth in points. I would, at the beginning of the start of the season I
After
would
the
have been
Paula race.
shocked.
Yeah, me too. So, Masterpool goes 1-5 for second.
1 point from the win.
1 point from the win from the overall. But man, he's the real deal too. I just think
Whoa. Are we hearing this, fans?
I
at
just
home?
think in order, and we argued about this on the reaction show yesterday. Me and Justin did. I just think if he's going to get a spot on PC, he's got to get one or two more overalls. If he gets another overall, then it turns into a really hard conversation for them of like, oh, we don't have room for you, we can't make a spot or whatever.
I don't know how to say this, but every time you and I talk about Ty Masterpool, it's like, well, how is he going to stay? Who gives a fuck about that? He's got the skills to win races.
Yeah.
He's got the speed. He's
Yep.
got the support system. He got the fucking track.
Yep.
He's got the fitness. If not Mitch at Pro Circuit, everyone else is watching.
Star won't go back to him.
There's a lot of other people that'll take him.
Well, Honda's full, so he can't go to Honda.
Kinda.
Honda's not going to make another spot in 250s.
They could. If they want to win races, he's winning races.
I guess that's true. But he won't win Supercross. That's the thing.
Maybe.
He won't win Supercrosses.
Don't write him off yet. He's growing as a young professional still.
I think he'll stay at PC. I do think
I
that's
agree.
going to be the case here. But I think in order to really punch that ticket and it not to be a super duper weird situation, he's got to win another overall.
So we were. I didn't really think about this till right now, but you yesterday, and I think it was in the reaction show, mentioned, well, who's he going to take a spot? Well, what about Faulkner's ride because of the brain surgery thing?
The only thing with Faulkner's ride is, number one, I've heard he's re-signed. So that's the first thing, is that's already done.
Right, but if he's not able to fill the spot,
If he isn't able, then yes, okay, that could be a thing. But I don't think that what I've heard, that's not the situation. He'll be back when it's time to start preseason. He'll be ready to rock and roll, type deal.
knock on fake wood.
Yeah. And the only other thing with Faulkner there is like, well, you can't take his spot because he can win Supercross races. I mean, he won the first one. He was leading the second one when he crashed out, and that's what the fucking sponsors care about.
I mean, I'm not on the same page as you right here, but that's okay.
I mean, me and Justin have this same conversation, and like the problem is that you two are very core. You guys are very core moto. You've been in it for a long time. I'm not as core, and coming at it from the business side of things, I know what these sponsorship meetings are. It's Supercross. They don't give a fuck. I mean, I've literally listened to stuff and talked to teams that are like, they don't give us any money to run outdoors. We run outdoors because we build it in our Supercross budget to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not sponsored to run outdoors.
Mitch doesn't do this to please the sponsors. He does, but he does this for excellence and
Mitch is
victories.
factory Cowie too, and that's a whole different ball game. He is the factory Cowie 250 team,
Right.
So that means their budget is in essence coming off of OEM support, which is OEM advertising dollars, much like the HRC team, just like the factory Cowie team, all this stuff, which is how he ends up being able to. Now, however, that budget is here, and then he goes out and makes things so that the budget goes from this to this, so then he can have people like Ty Masterpool and shit like that. That's how that works, but it's a little bit different than some of these other teams.
I'll agree with that.
So you go to like Star. I know one in specific I've talked to, Club. They do not get money for outdoors. It is literally they're like, oh well, we do this whole series, and they're like, yeah, we don't give a shit about that. Which is, it's wild with the amount of people that are there, and obviously we all know this is the group that you sell bikes and parts and goggles and helmets and everything to. The people that go to the outdoor races. Supercross people are like, well, maybe they'll buy a pit bike, but outside of that, who knows? But everybody's money because of, and this is part of it too. And every weekend I go to a pro motocross race, I remember this is why I like Supercross better. Because like this weekend, I could see a whole bunch of the track, but I could only see
some of it at a time.
3/4 of half of the track. The other half, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, like, literally that first moto there at the end, I'm watching the back half there after the start where Deegan and Masterpool are battling. But when they jump that first tabletop, I no longer have any idea what the fuck's happening.
And the crowd's going wild.
And the crowd's going wild. I can hear him. So I literally ran up the hill to a Star guy who was standing there and was like, hey, did Deegan get him? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, what? First off, I was like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know? Like, you have a headset on. Make a fucking call, bro.
Well, I like that I agree with what you say, and I like that they had some of the Jumbotrons on the side of the track this weekend.
Yes.
I'm not sure how many there were, because I was obviously doing other things, but
I think
I like
there's
that for
3.
the fans, because even some of the casual fans I know still go home and watch the race after having been there all weekend to catch the rest of the race.
Yeah.
Right? And having the Jumbotrons helps.
Yep. But yeah, but that's where it makes it easier to sell Supercross, because you can see the whole fucking track. I can watch that battle the entire last lap and see what the fuck happens. And then there's a screen right in front of me. Okay, sweet, awesome. Like, what I mean is in the stadium of like, all right, cool. I know exactly who won. Yesterday, I never fucking clue. And then the cell service is shit. So like,
very bad.
It kind of works, kind of doesn't. So then I'm trying to see like results afterwards, and it's like, This
makes it very difficult for mechanics, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a weird, rough thing to do, and I'm not exactly sure. I've gone into this rant before about infrastructure at these legacy facilities like Redbud. Of it's like, I don't understand why the infrastructure isn't better. It gets better. It's better now than it was when I started going in 2014. But I still don't understand with the amount of money that they make and stuff, and the way they're trying to promote the series and all this crap. Why can we not have better infrastructure there? Roads, bathrooms, concession stands, fucking Wi-Fi, fucking even
I don't know about Wi-Fi.
Not even necessarily Jumbotrons. Can we get scoring towers?
Yeah.
Like at a fucking NASCAR track that's just got...
That's an inexpensive thing to rent.
That's a to rent, to put up, whatever. It doesn't matter. Have some permanent ones.
Yeah.
So that it can be seen in a bunch of different spots. So then yesterday, if Deegan does get him, after the race is over, I can look up at the thing and say, oh, look, Deegan must have got him. I'll have to go back and watch that.
That's a good point with the scoring towers.
I mean, it's that simple.
No, we talked briefly about the infrastructure, and we have talked about it in the past, and some of the stuff makes sense, right? So adding permanent bathrooms makes a ton of sense. It's expensive to put in, because, I mean, unless you put a big storage tank, you got to put a septic in. It's a huge endeavor.
And with somewhere like that, with as big as the facility is, you have to have each bathroom facility. Essentially, you're going to have septic system and put in there.
This is very significant.
Yeah, which turns into a lot, because you put a septic system in is probably $50,000 to $75,000. You put a well in's another $20,000. So you're already at $100,000 before you even build a bathroom type deal.
Another thing for this is funny to say right now, but for Redbud, for a good example, every fucking year the shitters are not only gross, but they burn them down and flip them over and stuff. So then you got somebody wrecking your property instead of something you rent, right? Because Tim Ritchie calls and says, "Hey, send me 400 shitters," and then pick them up on Tuesday, and that's all he has to do, right? Make sure there's a level spot to put them on. That's it.
Yeah.
Whereas otherwise, you have to maintain these things. They break. People are burning the place down.
Here's the thing I had yesterday, because me and Ashley were kind of debating this too during the moto. She's like, I wouldn't build it. I'm like, well, the NASCAR tracks all have them, and you mean to tell me that those fans aren't as rowdy and riled up as we are?
It's true.
I go, and number two, I'm like, okay, cool. Then just build them in the pro pit area, so that the pro pits have bathroom facilities, and then
for the paddock, they bring in like the nice trailer ones. That's a little bit different.
Yeah,
it's mostly for women, but it's that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
But again, that's another temporary solution. When you're looking at infrastructure, we're having the infrastructure discussion. Now, we talked about roads, and this is something that's I mentioned to someone yesterday that it dawned on me that nobody really knows this about some of these tracks. But for the example of Redbud, if they pave the way through, not only is it going to cost you $1 bazillion, but prior to the race, that's a hayfield, and it's literally Redbud is a farm. Yeah, and they cut hay, and then they get it ready for the race. And not only do they have, well, this is just hay for an example, but not only do they, use it as a farm and make that income from that, but it's farm taxes. So if you pave all these roads and shit, like that's farm field.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man. I just feel like,
you know how much damn money it costs to pave that place, all them roads?
Yeah, a lot.
It has M at the end.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Like I said, I believe there's things that could be done with infrastructure that could make it better. Because I welcome the you see these NASCAR facilities, and it's like, okay, cool, like what are we doing?
I welcome the ideas like the scoring tower. That's very simple to add, but it's something that would continue for the legacy. Let's just say you built it.
Yeah,
it's fucking there for not only that race, but then it would be cool to have that at the local races too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it wouldn't be very. I mean, it probably cost you.
It's probably not 70, as cheap as we think,
grand
but
to build it.
You could build a huge one up at the top next to the thing, next to the. What's it called? Announcer's tower there.
I would put it by the flag.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You can see it from everywhere.
Well, the only problem is that Thor tower blocks it now.
Yeah. Well, still, you got a lot of visibility. You could put two of them, one by like the ski jump, and one on the other side, and you can see no matter where you are, even in the paddock.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that one. Now the cell service thing is really tricky, and some of the other races are this issue too. But the cell service is tricky because it's not like Redbud unplugs their cell service. It's up to the cell providers.
Yeah.
You can do repeaters and you can do boosters and you can.
And the hardest part is that there's just so many people there all trying to use the same networks.
And it's worse when they turn the TV broadcast trucks on because they I don't know how it works with all the whatever science stuff.
Who knows?
But here's a businessman to businessman. In 2020 I was this close to getting an old 1930s fire station in Detroit. I'm a Detroit guy for all you at home, and I wanted to make a really cool barbecue spot out of it. But in the back of the parking lot was a cell tower. That's income every month. Now, businessman to businessman, Tim Ritchie's a fucking businessman. Maybe that makes sense. 5G to 5G, I don't like that stuff at all. But the other side of things as well, it begs to the question: where is the growth here? Because that could be a solution.
Yep. So I don't know. We got off on a tangent there, but anyway, Ty Masterpool 1-5 for second,
and I give my applause. As everyone that watches the show knows, I've been saying hell yeah, want to be Ricky Carmichael. That's how you do it, and now here he is trying to be Ricky Carmichael.
Yep. Joe Schmoto goes 5-2 for third. This is just the type of rides we'll see from Joe. Probably win half a dozen more motos throughout the rest of the year, but
he looked pretty good, eh?
Yep. But this is, we're halfway through the season. He hasn't done shit, and now it's time to pick it up, bro. This is how Joe rolls.
Yeah, we kind of called that too.
Yep. So Tom Vial had kind of an up and down day. He goes 3-4 for fourth.
Literally down.
Yeah, he put some points on Deegan, but not a lot, and
he crashed right in front of me.
He needs to win He needs to win some motos here, dude.
Yeah.
Like if he wants back in this, but I honestly think that we have kind of suffered from. He may win some motos. That could be a thing before the end of the year here, but I honestly think we suffered from a Supercross hangover at least the first four there, and now we're just kind of like in a spot of like, well, okay, what are we really fucking doing, you know? So, Deegan goes 2-6 for 5th. That 6 was coordinated with the crash with the guy going down, the lapper going down in the second
fourth
moto.
at that point.
I think so, something like that, 4th or 5th. So, but
He looked good, but he looked good like while everybody else was looking good too.
He looked good, yes, well, everybody else did. He just didn't have that last little extra bit like he's had the last couple rounds where it was like, ooh,
hanging out.
He's really tracking guys down. Like, I was watching him a lot during, especially that second moto when he got the bad start, and I'm like, he's not really making moves here. And, like, yes, that didn't help when the lapper went down or whatever and fucked his day up, but he still wasn't moving like he has been the last couple rounds. So, we'll see going forward here. Still his title to lose.
I hope he does. Not lose it. I hope he wins it.
I was like, wait, what?
I
mean,
although
I think,
a lot of people,
I think he will.
It's very interesting how many people, even casual fans, love him or hate him.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know how many people must have came up to me this weekend talking about, Deegan's and that kind of stuff, and it's like, I think the kid's awesome. He's not only is he seems like a pretty cool kid, but he's a bad son of a gun on the track.
Mm-hmm. He's what we need for the sport here right now, which is great. So, Kitchen goes 6-3 for 6th. That second moto was way better, but Kitchen is getting to be very start dependent again here. Like, there is not, I'm moving through the pack. There's, I started good, I'm going to finish good, or I started like crap and I'm going to finish like crap. There's not a whole lot in between right now. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Hard to pass on this track, it looked like.
It was. I told you guys, like, that backside there after the ski jump and stuff, it seemed really one-lined. Yeah. Like, there was not a lot of passing happening back there. I was watching everybody take the same damn line all day. So the other side of the track looked a little bit better, especially on the broadcast, like the rollers, the Roccos, that kind of stuff. There was some movement in there. The rest of it, I was like, nope. Casey Cochran goes 7-9 for 7th. He is sneakily getting way, way better.
One of those guys is going to be one of the next guys.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Yep. Ryder D had a pretty decent day. Got a really good start that second moto. He goes 13-7 for 8th.
Doesn't get very much respect from people.
That's because it's not as good as people think he should be. Because he was so good in amateurs here, and this pro debut has not been. And because of like the combines and the Supercross futures and stuff, you feel like he's been pro, but it's like this is his first full year as a pro.
He's a rookie?
Yeah. Where it's like, but because he's been in the spotlight here with the amateur stuff, it's like, fuck, dude, he should be so good. So we'll see. Max Anstey, he's just testing and living life here. 9-13 for 9th.
How did he look?
Nah. Just kind of nah.
Did he?
Yeah. Nothing super stupendous. But I didn't figure he would be. He hasn't raced outdoors in several years here.
That's
and
true.
Especially not like on a full-time basis here. And I know he missed the first 4, and he's on a new bike. He's been on a Honda for however many years here, a couple of years now, and he was on the Suzuki before that. So now we're on different. But I mean, I don't know. This is kind of what I expected. Was like he'd do okay, but he wasn't going to be. Everybody was like, "Oh, I think he can win at Southwick." I was like, maybe, but
I think he could win eventually.
I think he could, yeah, eventually. Like maybe next year when he has a full year on Star. Okay, but he doesn't seem too unhappy about it. I was reading his Instagram post. He seems, we're just out here living life type of stuff.
He's got a lot of experience at Redbud.
Yeah, and he did really well when he was there. It must have been 2 years ago, till the bike broke. So, Mark Finnis, shout out to him. Only guy with the biggest, hairiest nuts in the 250 group to fucking huck the leap in first practice. Came up way short. But he hucked it. The only kid. 11-12 for 10th overall there. Dax Bennett goes 16-8 for 11th. He looked pretty good yesterday.
He's another one, in my opinion. Although he seems to be underwhelming some expectations, he's not underwhelming my expectations. I think he'll be one of the next guys.
I think he'll be fine.
Just like everybody was previously was like, Chance Hines, he's now he's kind of becoming one of the guys. So I think that he's one of the next guys.
Yep. Jet Reynolds goes 15-11 for 12th.
It's one of his better finishes.
Yeah, he just needs to do all the races, man.
Yeah.
And then we can start building. Nick Romano.
Club?
Oh, go ahead.
Club?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nick Romano goes 12-14 for 13th. He'll be on club next year probably. He won't get re-signed with Star. Dylan Schwartz goes 14-16 for 14th. Swole 8-34 for 15th. I don't know what happened to that second moto.
I don't know. He looked good though.
Jordan Smith 38-10th for 16th. Crashed Savachi the first moto is what we came up with, right?
After the triple uphill, which is a kind of tricky triple, you go around the left-hander, which has got a lot of ruts through the corner, and then come down a hill, and they kind of one of those things. And he went.
Yeah, and by the way, suck it, Justin, because Savachi definitely raced the first moto.
Yeah.
Didn't do well because he crashed there, and that was what happened, but he definitely raced that first moto. Pierce Brown, 10-39 for 17th. Have no idea what happened to him in that second moto. Talon Hawkins, 17-17 for 18th.
Is Talon Hawkins another one of those next guys? In your opinion?
No. He got chewed up and spit out, so he's going to be a struggling pro, I think, for most of his career. Because he ended up getting dicked over a little bit because they had so many injuries on Husky last year that they moved him up early, and they didn't really perform, and so they got clippy this year. So now he's on AEO KTM.
They helped me a lot this weekend, by the way.
Yep.
AEO, good guys.
Yep. So he's on the AEO KTM, and like he's been fine, but he just, like I said, he'll just be like a struggling pro. I think bounce around these second-rate teams.
Yeah.
And it's not really his fault. He just didn't get all of the opportunity he should have gotten in the amateur stuff.
AEO helped me this weekend, and those guys. I'm believe it or not, I'm kind of a shy guy, and when I am in these kind of modes, I kind of come up like I own the place. And I was in the hunt for some parts for Kevin, and I came snowing up to AEO like, hey, Jade Dundee sent me over here, like yada yada yada, and like, who the fuck is this guy? And then once I slow down and communicate instead of like bombarding them with information, then they were the nicest guys ever, and I appreciate them.
Cool. Let's see. Tom Gayoun from France, or however the hell you pronounce that, 22-15 for 19th. Lux Turner goes 20-19 for 20th. And Jake Cannon goes 31-18 for 21st. Evan Ferry looked better this weekend than I've seen him look in previous weekends, and he went 21-20 for 23rd.
Points.
See. Any Michigan dudes? Rody Schroer goes 34 DNS for 40th. And then, Savachi went 36 DNS for 43rd there. So that's your 250 race recap brought to you by Flo Racing. Anything else?
So many racers, so many amateurs that came through this race this weekend. Besides the Pro National, there are so many racers and fans that came that it's makes me happy to see the sport alive and well.
Mm-hmm.
And although I've been retired since 2012, something like that, I'm kind of out of the picture in a bit, but you love to see it. I don't know how many entries they must have had this weekend, but
no idea.
It is cool to see.
Also, shout out to Trevor. I talked to you during second practice this weekend down by the rollers. You and your family were there hanging out. It was really funny. I went down there and I do my first shot filming, and he's like getting out of the way. I'm like, nah, dude, you're cool. Like, don't worry. Like, it's not that serious. And he goes, no, it's okay. I watch your show. I don't want to be in the way. I was like, oh, cool. Thanks, bro. So, so shout out to Trevor there. I told you I'd remember your name because it was really close to Travis, so simple for me to remember. So, that's basically it. So, that's been show 277. We will have, like I said, Eric Grandal on to talk about the Alias release. He did text me during the show. He's going to come on tomorrow. Cool. We've been going back and forth. So he's going to come on. So tomorrow I'll make a call to him and talk to him, and I'll throw it on at the end of this. Thanks to our sponsors, Complete Racing Solutions, TLR Coatings, Holster Coat, Gutter Worx, Flo Racing, and Isaac Nelson Design. Oh, we didn't do our Isaac Nelson Designs Deegan Danger Zone. Whatever.
There was a lot of danger.
There was a lot of danger with the yellow flagger.
Yeah, we kind of did talk about it.
Yeah, it's whatever. So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. Links in the description down below for everything. Links in the description down below. And we'll be back next week. Like I said, Cole will be back. We will talk some Millville. And go from there. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. All right, everybody. Now, as promised, on the phone with me here, I've got the one and only Eric Grandal. How are you today, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. So I want to talk some things with you. I have a source that told me a couple things to ask you, so I'm gonna definitely do that. But we'll start with like the first reason I got you on the phone here. Alias gear is coming back, and I want to hear all about it and where I can buy it and everything in between because I'm super pumped.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very excited to be able to bring the gear back. It's available now on aliasmx.com, so head on over there, check us out. We got 5 new kits and also some road cycling apparel up there as well. And check it out. Let us know what you guys think. It's been developed for about the last 8 or 9 months I've been working on this, and just finally got it to a point where I felt like it was ready to bring to to the consumer, bring to the public. And I'm very, very happy with the product, and I think you guys will be too.
Now, is this is different manufactured stuff because you did some limited releases last year or the year before? Sorry, everything's blending together here.
Yeah, it was the end of 2022 into 2023.
Okay.
I did some made in the U.S. stuff through Lucid.
Okay.
And just kind of, it was all made to order. And like the cool thing about that was I could sublimate everyone's name and number into the jersey.
I do enjoy that.
The bad part was you had to wait like 6 to 7-ish weeks to get your gear, and not a lot of people were stoked on that. So I was like, okay, I need to take a step back and figure out how I'm really gonna do this to make it similar to what it was before.
Yeah. No, I'm liking these. I'm looking at it right now. I'm liking these gear colors. That high vis yellow and red and black stuff is screaming my name. So I'm gonna have to give me a set of that. I actually have. I still got that orange set from one of those releases you did, and I have literally not rode enough that like I haven't even worn it yet, to be honest with you. Like I put it on when I got it, and I was like, oh man, this is cool, like fits good, and you even hooked me up swapping some pants out there. What did I ever send those other pants back to you, or am I an asshole?
I have no idea, to be honest.
I don't know either.
Probably 2 years
Dude,
ago.
I know. I'm a fucking terrible person.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
I'm a fucking terrible person. But I put it on. I liked the way everything fit, and especially once you got me the little bigger pants because I got a little fat in my old age. But I literally haven't even worn it. But I am going to have to get some of this because so fun fact, some of the gear that I do wear when I ride is I have some old original pink and blue gear, pink, blue, and purple from back in the Geico days, actually.
Yep.
That I still wear. That's how little I ride, is that stuff's still in great shape, and I still wear it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, so I'm pumped to try this out now, and hopefully we can do some we'll do some advertising here for you with this, because I mean, Alias was just always my favorite. Like the colorways were cool. I was a Geico Honda guy, so like the fact that they wore it, and then you guys would always have these killer sales, which is something I miss in the industry, is these killer sidewalk sales, clearance sales, whatever, where you just basically fire sale the old stuff that you didn't need anymore. And like I picked up a ton of stuff when you guys did that too.
Yeah. I mean, as a consumer, it's great.
Yes.
As a business.
Oh, I know.
Not great, because, we figured out by the end of that, we were literally giving away, it was like somewhere around like $20 in every box. We were just giving money away.
Okay, well, every
single time.
Let's fire sale it at break-even rates this time then, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, it's definitely, that's something that I've really focused on, is just being able to price this stuff as fairly as possible, to where I can afford to do rider support, but also I don't want to feel like I'm, gouging or money grabbing at the, the customers that are paying retail, that, are just your average weekend warriors or whoever they may be.
Yep.
I wanted it to be as fair as possible for everyone, with being in mind that it is a business. I do need to survive.
Yep.
That's the goal this time around, because last time it didn't work. So
Well, I'm sure in my experience, we gain knowledge every single year, business-wise, with things. So I'm sure that your knowledge here is a lot better than it was the first time around. So that's cool. And you got this.
it is for sure.
You got the cycling stuff here. Now I see a Troll Training branded one. Are we? We teamed up with them?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we did a collab with Troll Training. John and Alex have been great to work with. John, actually, he coaches me for cycling.
Oh, no shit.
And so we decided to do that, and we sold quite a few right off the bat. So I think there's only a couple left. So I'm
That's
pretty
awesome.
happy with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, actually, I face to face met John this weekend. I met him on a podcast with I did Johnny Hopper's podcast with him a few weeks ago. And then I was like, oh man, you're gonna be at Redbud, sweet. And then I ended up running into him at the end of the day and talking to him. Super nice dude. Super duper nice dude.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
He laughed really hard at me during the show because I told him about how I used to run marathons, and he didn't believe me at first. And then we came back around to the stories of me running marathons again, and then all of a sudden it clicked for him of like, oh, you really used to do that. I was like, yeah, I'm not just a fat old guy. Like, we used to put some miles down, bro. So
hey, kudos to you, because I am a terrible runner.
Well, I'm not going to say I was a great runner. I'm going to say that I did it. And not like some of the. Let's just be honest here, okay? I did Disney World marathons, okay? So that was just my excuse to go on vacation most of the time. But I would do all of them. Like, literally, if there was a race to sign up for on that weekend for Disney, I did all of them. So I did a lot of miles. And I ran
nuts.
I ran pretty good 5Ks. I did one. A
5K I can do. I can do a 5K.
Those are not bad.
Over that, I'm out.
So the best 5K I ever did, I ran one at the Disneyland park there out in California, right? And I finished, I don't know, must have been like top 10. And the only people around me were the kids who were like collegiate runners from USC. And I was like, well, that's pretty good. Like,
oh hell yeah, that's awesome.
for a fat kid, I'm just up here cruising, I guess. So yeah. So outside of that, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, we were not breaking. I was trying to come like off the couch my last couple, literally like off the couch, and do like a half marathon in an hour and 45 minutes. Never worked, but I was trying. So that was interesting. But
I did a half marathon once just by myself. Just got up and was like, I'm going to do a half marathon today.
Just walked out the front door and did it?
Yeah, literally. I just wanted to see if I could do it, because I kind of lost my my cycling fire for a bit. And it was when I had just moved down south in Florida, so it was a bit sketchy with the cars and stuff. So I started running a little bit, and hadn't gone anything over 4 miles, and then I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna try and do it just to see if I can do it. And I ended up doing, I think I did it right at like a 9:40 pace or something like that.
Nice.
So it wasn't terrible, but I was just like, I finished that and I couldn't walk for I swear to God, I couldn't walk for a week. I was like, that was the worst idea I've ever had. I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you haven't done them like that much running before, it can get really sketchy. I had one marathon. I got caught in the rain like 15 miles in, and I ended up callousing or blistering and peeling every single one of my toes. On both feet. Oh my
God, that sounds awful.
Dude, it was. And that was in Florida at Disney World, and I was still on vacation for like another 5 days. So like I literally that afternoon peeled every toe, literally toenail all the way around to toenail, skin off, and then hobbled around on my heels the rest of that day, and then the next day was just terrible. Absolutely terrible. But there was nothing you could do. It was a normal stupid midday Florida rainstorm.
Yep,
And I'm like,
yep.
I got 10 miles to go. I'm just like, well, we're just in it. You know, it's not like I planned to carry extra socks or had an extra pair of shoes around my neck. I was just like, well, here we are. We're just wet now. This is fun. And that was the last marathon I ever did.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that half marathon was the last time I ran.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So, but you went crazy yesterday. You did a 115-mile bike ride yesterday, right?
Yep. Yeah, that to me, I'll do that every week before I ever run a half marathon again. I don't
know about all
7
that.
hours on the bicycle, I'll take that any day.
That sounds fucking terrible.
Running.
Sounds fucking terrible. Like, I cycle a little bit, but like, dude, if I do 30 miles, I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like, that's way more than enough.
Yeah, well, I got rained out. What happened was I was going to do a century no matter what, but I got rained out a couple days this week and didn't feel like going on the trainer, so I was like, I'll just do a couple extra miles on the century, and because I wanted to get to 200 miles this week, and so I had to go a bit further, and it was pretty brutal because at one point, like the hottest point of the day, I think it got to like 100 or 102, I think it said on my Garmin. So I was like, okay, this was a bad idea at that point.
As we're already 100 miles in, this was a terrible idea. I don't know what we're thinking here.
Yeah, the extra 15, we were gonna do, the route we planned was 124 miles. And we cut the last 9 miles out of it because me and my buddy, we were just like so over it. We were dying from the heat at the end. Our bodies could not, keep the temperature down.
Sounds terrible. Sounds absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I enjoy it for whatever reason. It keeps me in shape. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life right now. So I can't complain too much.
Well, and that showed there at Southwick because you raced Southwick, having not raced in, a couple of years now? Is that it? Or did you race last year?
Yeah, I did 2 nationals in 2022.
Okay.
But I won Mini-O's at the end of 2022. And then I raced Daytona Amateur Supercross. And then I literally barely touched a dirt bike for the rest of the year last year, and barely touched one this year until 3 weeks before Southwick.
That's
and
awesome.
Then I was like, okay, I'm going to train now.
Now, did you make it straight in, or did you have to go to the LCQ?
Straight in. We had that B practice, baby.
Oh, yes. Yes, and you didn't fail sound. Awesome.
Yeah, no, a KTM with a Krapovich, you're not failing sound. If they ever sound test a KTM with an Akrapovich, I will be shocked.
Interesting. Super interesting.
Because those things are so quiet. They're just insanely quiet.
Weird. Super weird. But
yeah, no.
That's awesome.
It was great. I made my mechanic from the factory Moto Lab. I sent him down there. I said, hey, because I heard that they were letting you out one by one again. They weren't just letting everyone go free for all into the first turn. So I sent him down there with my teammate. We did a little team thing for Southwick.
Okay.
Aaron Zielfelder. We sent both of our mechanics down there an hour early to the line. AMA wasn't even set up. They said that they were like, you guys are really early. And they were like, yeah, we know. Just to make sure that we got the first 2 gates to the inside so that we could go out 1 and 2, because we know how important it is to not get stuck behind a slower rider when the track is that smooth.
Yeah.
And it paid off. I think we were P3 and 4 in B practice.
Okay.
He was 3rd, I was 4th, and then he was 13th overall, and I was 15th overall. So we were stoked. We got in, and then we knew once we were in, we'd be fine in the races. So
yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. What'd you end up finishing? I don't even remember.
I went 27-25.
Okay. All right.
And the first moto, I was a little bit upset with myself. it'd been a couple years, and I saw the blue flags were out, and so I'm looking behind, like checking to make sure that I'm not gonna impede the lead race.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, the blue flags were out for 3 laps
Get
before I
out.
got lapped. I was like, is this a joke right now? Like, by the 3rd lap, I just stopped looking back, and then all of a sudden I hear friggin' Deegan Yamaha coming behind me, and I'm like, oh crap, I better get out of the way. And yeah, I was a little too generous getting lapped, and my times, the 2 laps where like it was like the top 8 guys who were pretty close together were all coming by. I sacrificed too much pace to let them go.
Yep.
And 2 guys ended up passing back by me. So I was a little upset with myself for that, because I should have gotten 25th that moto. But it's whatever. Nothing I can do about it now. So second moto, I was like, all right, I'm not gonna be as nice when they're coming around to lap me. I was like, if they're gonna stay behind me for a corner or 2, then that's how it's gonna be. Just because Southwick, it was every single inside line blew into the outside, so there was one line around the whole entire track.
Oh man.
It was insane. So it was literally impossible to be a good lapper there, because if you went outside, it either went off the track or you had to jump the berm at the exit of the corner. So it was definitely tough. There was only probably 3 or 4 corners on the track that you could actually get out of their way.
Interesting.
So yeah, second moto, much better. I was right next to the Bomb Air crash.
Oh, really?
For the red flag. Yeah, that happened right in front of me.
Oh, man.
So this kid, I think he was on a Husky or a Yamaha, I'm not too sure. He got like cross-rutted in that sweeping section up the face of that little like tabletop single thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he went over the bars, and his bike flipped left right into Bomb Air. And Bomb Air just had nowhere to go, nothing he could do. And I actually didn't see Bomb Air get run over, and that's actually what knocked him out. I thought that he got hit with the kid's bike, and that's what knocked him out.
Yeah, I just saw that video yesterday of him getting run over.
I'm glad that he's somewhat okay from that.
Yeah, that was gnarly when I saw it. I was like, oh, that's bad.
And instantly when the red flag was out, I'm like, yep, something bad definitely happened during that crash.
So how does that...
Which was a bummer for myself, because I actually had a somewhat decent start, like, because I always start terribly at the Nationals. My best start ever would be probably like 30th.
Yeah.
And I think I crossed the finish line like 19th on the first lap.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so I was like, damn, I'm like, that sucks. I was actually in a decent spot.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, first and foremost, you got to make sure that, whoever's out there injured is okay. Yeah.
Now, when you see something like that and, it happens right in front of you there, and obviously then okay, red flag, so that was way gnarly. How does that affect your mental mindset there going back to the line? Like...
I mean, really, I'm fine, because, like, I know that, like... Yeah, I know what I signed up for. Like, shit's gonna happen. It's more so, I was just terrified of the first, like, 2 corners, because it's so chaotic and it's sand, so you literally can't see a thing in front of you, and there's just people going everywhere, and you're just trying to, like, weasel your way through, like, little gaps, if you don't get a good start.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, the restart, I did a lot worse of a job making it through the first couple corners. That first start, I was able to like pass probably like 8 or 9 guys pretty quickly, and I was like, wow, I just did really good through there. Like, I found openings that shouldn't have worked out, but they worked out. And the second time around, those openings were not there. And if I tried something, I ended up getting hit. I actually have a tear on my seat cover because somebody's front tire somehow made it onto my seat in one of the corners.
Interesting.
And I almost went down, but somehow stayed up.
That's awesome. That is
I think whoever
awesome.
it was, they definitely must have went down.
They crashed.
Yeah.
Are we doing any more nationals?
Unadilla.
Ah, okay. You're driving in the middle of fucking nowhere. Got it. Cool.
Yep. Yep. I really, just because I love that track. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to qualify. I would love to, obviously. But that track is not necessarily my strong point because it's just deep, gnarly, long ruts. But
Yeah.
I do enjoy riding that track just because it's such a sick track. There's so much flow on that track and all the elevation, and it's a really, really cool place. I hope that they don't till it 2 feet deep.
Yeah.
Because it's not that fun when they do that. But if it's prepped nice, if they just till the corners and then leave the straightaways,
Yeah.
that track it's amazing to ride.
And no buds, huh?
No buds. I hate that track.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, not a fan of that place. I don't know why. I've never rode well there.
Interesting. Okay.
So I've just never enjoyed it.
So how
I would like to do Ironman, but I'm a lot more focused on bicycle racing, so you won't catch me there.
Yeah, well, that's too bad because I like Ironman and we'll be there. It's close.
Yeah.
So it's in the budget. So
Yeah.
okay, so let's talk a little race action here from this season here. Let's get some thoughts on this. What do you think of this Deegan kid here?
I mean, he's crushing it. There's no other way to put it. Some of his interviews, I wouldn't say make me dislike him. I think because I've talked to him. I've gone and rode at their house before when I lived in California, and they're very nice people. Sometimes I just don't love the way he words things. I guess I would put it on the podium.
Okay.
I don't think he means basically to say some of the cocky things that he is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Faulkner comment, for instance, when he got messed up at that race.
Okay.
And he said that, I guess he just can't take the pressure or whatever it was that he said on the podium.
Yep.
To me, I felt like that was just a little bit disrespectful to someone who just got seriously messed up to say. So I guess it's just some of those things of being young and just being in the moment too, I think is a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And because, I mean, I've said a lot of dumb stuff in my life that I know I didn't mean and could have worded it better. And I still do. Like, it's all learning. And that's why I say I don't think he gets a lot of hate for that stuff. And I get it. I don't like it, but I totally get it because I think if you take a step back and you think about it, he's only, 17 years old?
Oh, no, he's 18. Don't get that
18?
wrong. Holy
Okay.
shit, now they're coming
18.
for you in the comments, so don't read the comments now.
Okay. All right. I won't read the comments. But yeah, he's a nice kid. I think that maybe just he could think a little bit more on the podium. But I do love how honest he is. So it's kind of, you got to walk that fine line. Like, we want you to show your personality on there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would just say to think about just a little bit more respect for his competitors, I guess, is how I would word it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's really the only downfall I see. I mean, he's an unbelievable competitor. He's a nice kid. He's been nice to me every time I've talked to him. I've seen him be nice to other people, so I don't think by any means that he's like some little asshole or anything like that. I think yeah, I mean, he's right now he's showing that he can back up all the talk and all the people that have doubted him. Yeah, I had the opportunity to ride with him at Southwick before the National, and for him to come out and do what he did there, I was like, whoa. I was not expecting that, because he was not like, he was pretty open and honest when he was riding there that he was having a tough time adjusting to the sand riding. And a couple of the locals there, and old timers, Keith Johnson, he gave him some pointers on just kind of what to do, and some good line choices and stuff like that usually develop at the National. And it was funny to see when I went back and watched the race that he was actually using those lines and doing the stuff that he was telling him. So I was like, wow, this kid is like, that's dedication right there. This kid, all he cares about is winning. Because, I mean, dude, Anstey was like, I think he was 3 seconds a lap faster than him when they were testing there.
Okay.
And I was just like, wow, Anstey's going to go 1-1 at Southwick for sure. Like,
yeah,
no doubt in my mind. He's incredible in the sand. He always was in the GPs. And I'm like, yeah, Deegan will probably shoot for like a podium. And then he comes out and he's the first one to lap me. And when he lapped me, he had a pretty decent gap to the next guy that lapped me. And I was just like, wow, he is on the gas right now. And then I watched the race and I was just like, wow, this kid did a total 180 from when he was riding here, whatever it was, 2 weeks before. And he really, you could tell he just wants it. Like, that kid is a competitor. There's really no other way to put it. Every time that kid, the gate drops, he wants to win.
I think they're super smart with going and riding all these different places, going to Tomac's house, going and riding with Ken, obviously going to Southwick. They rode with the Reeds last week. Like, I just 100%. Think that they are just far and above better at figuring this out than everybody else on the line right now.
And if you do that, like, he just wants to learn.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing all this so that he can learn and become this well-rounded kind of do-it-all rider, because there's a lot of dudes out there that are good at hard-pack slick tracks, guys that are good at ruts but not good at sand, or guys that are good at sand and not good at hard-pack. So it's like, when he's doing all this, it's genius. Like, if you can do that, then why not do it? And a lot of these dudes should be able to do that. Like, it's not, sure, you might have to travel a little bit more, but he's doing it and it's working. So that might be some take note for some other guys, just because of his, I mean, it's dominance right now.
Yeah. So
I know he didn't win this weekend at Redbud, but I mean, other than that, he's been pretty unstoppable this year.
Now, do you think? I guess we'll go future headline here. Do you think he challenges Jet? Like, can he run with Jet when he gets to that point, or?
I don't know. I hate talking about that stuff this early on.
Yeah.
Like, it's too early for that. And the only drawback I have is that he's a very, like, aggressive, on the rev limiter, high RPM rider.
Okay.
And you cannot ride a 450 like that. The thing will just drive you into the ground.
Now, was he, because you obviously were racing with him, was he on the limiter as much at Southwick there? Because it didn't sound like it on TV. but I wasn't obviously there. So was he on that
I mean,
as much
when
as
he went by me, he was wide open. So
Okay, all right, fair enough. Fair
and I
enough.
was definitely not wide open through the section he was going wide open in. I
Interesting.
was just like blown away. Like, how the hell did you just do that? Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
I don't know. I'm very impressed
But yeah,
with him, though.
I mean, I want to be. Yeah, I'm very impressed with him as well. Like, he's definitely he's stepped up to the plate for sure.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying we'll have to see. Like, a 450 is a big adjustment, and for most people, I think it suited Jet so well because he's always had that like low RPM, smooth, calm riding style. So I think that's why Jet was able to adjust so quickly. So we'll see, because I mean, it just he's obviously very good at adapting. If he went from, he was kind of struggling a little bit at Southwick 2 weeks before, and then he shows up and wins the race. So he can obviously adapt. So I would say it's gonna be a time will tell thing. I
Okay.
would say, but I would love to see him challenge Jet and Chase.
Okay. Now,
Because I'm so sick of this. Oh, will Deegan challenge Jet talk, and nobody ever includes Chase into the story. It's just mind blowing to me.
well, so I take it then you didn't cry a little bit when the news came out that Jet was out, because I sure did. I cried a lot. I had to cry myself to sleep that night.
I mean, I definitely didn't cry, but I was definitely bummed because I fully believe that Chase can beat him straight up. And there's a lot of people that don't think that that's possible. So I was just hoping so badly that he could have the chance to beat him this summer.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone was just like handing him the title when he doesn't even have the freaking red plate. Like, what is going on? Like, I know he went undefeated last year, but he's shown on plenty of occasions this year that he can be defeated. And so it's like that is over now. So I don't know why they're still just giving him the title, just assuming that he's going to win.
I think Chase's struggles with the bike this year have exacerbated the people. That's probably not the right word. Anyway, has made people look at him and just be like, "Oh yeah, there's no way he can run with Jet." And I think Chase does have the speed, but I think one of my personal thoughts is that him and his dad struggle a bit with setting up the bike per se. There's a few things I've heard behind the scenes. There was a Darren Lawrence interview of him kind of talking about like, yeah, guys before us, like they didn't know how to set the bike up or whatever, basically directly referencing the Sextons. And again, I don't really know the Sextons on a personal basis or anything. I'm just going off things I hear here that I'm just like, okay, maybe they're not the best at getting a bike set up, which just is a weakness in their camp, I guess you would say, because I don't think it's speed and technique from him, because he definitely has the speed, and technique-wise, he's definitely really good. But I think there's just like that one little like half click with him that keeps him from really, I guess you'd say, directly challenging Jet every single week,
I would say I agree in Supercross. I think the bike was definitely a factor. I think that they were struggling it more than what they thought they were going to, going to a whole new bike and program and everything, and obviously a bike that there was a few people pretty vocal about how not good it was. But I think in outdoors, I feel like he's kind of been there every week, and he's been as fast as, if not faster than, Jet.
Yeah.
So I would say in outdoors, I think they're a lot closer to having that KTM dialed in. And I think it has gotten a lot better with the new frame this year versus last year's.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this question then. I'm running on a theory that and this is where people will come at me in the comments, if Jet doesn't wad himself at Hangtown there, I don't think we see Chase do the things he's done this year with winning as far as outdoors go. I don't think that second moto happens of the coming from last to first. I think all of this is kind of a direct reflection of the confidence he gained by winning that first moto at Hangtown, which then allowed him to have that ride of his life in the second moto at Hangtown, which has then allowed him to, we'll call it, stay closer up until the point that Jet obviously got hurt here. And that's just my personal take, is like, I think if Jet doesn't wad himself and he ends up winning that first moto at Hangtown, I think that continues to beat down Chase's confidence. Because as riders, even at the lowest level that I am, I know that, like, when I go race, I know I'm not going to do that well. So I'm just like, I'm kind of beat before I even get on the start line, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I know losing as much as he did last year, and then you lose in Supercross, and then, you start, you go 3 or 4 motos in a row right at the beginning of the year, losing 2. I just think that, I think him winning there gave him a mental edge to be able to start doing what he's doing. Do you agree with that at all?
I don't know. I've never been a fan of the what ifs.
Okay.
I guess you should say.
Yeah.
Because all of that is irrelevant because it didn't happen.
Yep.
So everyone is entitled to their own opinion on that. I will agree with, he probably wouldn't have won the second moto had Jet not, like, let's say Chase wins the first moto, Jet stays up, doesn't hurt his shoulder or whatever, and he gets second behind Chase. And then they go out for the second moto. If Jet's out front and Chase is 40th going down, Chase is not catching Jet.
Okay.
He can catch everyone else like he did.
Yeah.
But there's no shot he's catching Jet. Jet will pull out 10, 20 seconds on the rest of the field and just cruise from there. Like, I don't think you're not coming from dead last to beat 100% healthy Jet.
Yeah.
There's just, I don't see that happening. I think Chase knows that would not be realistic at all.
Okay.
Unless Jet was having the worst day of his life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he's too good. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, that's not happening if he's 100% and got second to Chase in the first moto.
Okay. All right. Fair.
I will agree with that.
Fair enough.
But all that's relevant because it didn't happen.
This is true. And now Jet's out. I saw him this weekend with his thumb wrapped up. He was standing on the side of the track, windmilling people on all day. Like, very sad. So who win? Who you got? No, who do you have for that title in 450s? Hunter or Chase? Okay.
I mean, come on.
All right. All right. Hey, look.
If it wasn't obvious enough already, I'm a Chase fan. Like, he's my buddy. I've known him for years. I've seen the stuff that he can do on and off the bike. He's just there's nobody in better shape than him.
Okay.
Nobody.
All right. Fair enough.
He is in the best shape out of anyone on that gate anytime ever. And Hunter, he's clearly shown he's fast.
Yes.
He has the speed to run with Chase. I just don't think he has that pace for the whole moto.
Okay.
Like, where was it? Where was the moto that Hunter caught? Didn't he catch him past Jet? And he started to pull away? Or no, maybe he just caught Jet.
Was it High Point?
Oh no, it was the first round. It was Paula.
Okay.
He caught Jet from behind, and I don't remember if he passed him or not, but he like fully caught up to him and then stayed right on him and was like borderline going to pass him, and then all of a sudden, like 20 minutes into the race, he just throws anchor out and finishes like, I think it was like 30 seconds back behind him and Sexton.
Yeah. Yep.
So, that to me, I think he has the speed. I think he just needs to learn how to harness it the whole moto rather than, just sprinting for like 3-4 laps and then being like, oh crap, this bike is beating the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to tone it down a little bit, rather than doing 5 205s, do 10 206s,
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Which, look at me giving advice, like, who am I?
Hey, we all do it. It's fine.
But no, that's just, to me, I think Hunter still has some time to learn on the 450. And, just like this weekend, that crazy freaking crash, which I'm glad he was okay from that, because that was a wild ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he needs to a little bit more time to build that 450 fitness base, I guess I should say.
Okay. All right. Well, that's
I don't think
assessment.
he's out of shape by any means. I think he just needs some time to learn how to use his energy correctly on the 450.
Makes sense. Yeah. And he's in my opinion, first off, he's my best friend, so like that's cool. But he's like the new age Diesel. Of like it takes him a while. Like we saw it in 250s of like it took some years and a couple of injuries there before he really started getting stuff going. I'm actually wildly impressed with how good his season has been, especially with how, A1 started for him this year. So I do think that as we progress through the next year or two here, we're going to really start to see him come into form and be a guy to run with Chase and Jet and those kind of guys right up at the front. So,
I think next year he's still a threat for the title right now, but I think next year I would say he'll be podium contender week in, week out.
Okay.
I don't know that I'll give him title threat in Supercross just yet, because in my opinion, he's always been a better outdoor rider.
Yep.
But yeah, I think outdoors next year, he's definitely going to be considered a contender.
Okay.
With hopefully everyone healthy all the way through.
Well, that's all we can ever hope for. So, but with not 9 whoops and no dragons backs, everybody's fine. Everybody's fine.
Yeah.
All right, one more thing.
9 whoop thing's kind of dumb.
It's really stupid, but that's a whole nother hour of talking that we're not getting into. All right, one more thing for you here before I let you go. So a source told me back in the day, you used to ride every day with RJ and Kenny and AC and I don't know, there was a couple other guys on that list too. And I was told to ask you what that was like in those glory days there, because it sounds freaking awesome to me. So,
well, it's kind of just like what Deegan's been doing, riding with all the top dudes and learning from them. That's essentially what I was doing week in, week out. And there was a couple guys that were there for like a year or two here and there. Like Sexton was there my last 2 years that I was racing full time. Jeremy Martin was there. Christian Craig was there at points. There was a lot of guys. It was awesome. It was something I'm very grateful for, and that definitely helped me a lot in my short-lived professional career. And it was nice to be able to know that I was doing exactly what they were doing. And what I always struggled with was learning the tracks every week during Supercross
Okay.
is I could run. I think my best day ever, I was like 1.7 or something like that, or just under 2 seconds off of AC and RJ.
Okay.
Or actually, I think I might have been a little bit closer to RJ because AC was usually faster. And then I'd go to the race and I'd be 5-6 seconds a lap off on Supercross, and I'm like, how do these guys learn the track that fast
Mm-hmm.
to be able to like scrub through these rhythms and hit all these lines perfectly? And it was something I always struggled with, was I just could never convert my weekly practices to, convert that to race speed.
Now, I assume that you probably ask, like, hey, how do you guys learn this so fast? What did anybody have anything of substance they'd tell you, or they were just always like,
No,
I don't know?
No, they all like didn't really know how to answer, because they were just like, it's just like something that they like, to them, they just go out there and they ride, and it comes to them. So it's like, it's just one of those things where I think it was more so a little bit of the pressure,
Okay.
I think, for me,
Okay.
just to where it was like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that,
Yeah.
rather than now I'm just like, whenever I do a pro national or just doing any sort of racing, I'm like, I want to do this.
Okay.
So it's just a different kind of an attitude change, and I think that that's what's helped me just alleviate some pressure. And I wish that stuff I would have known back then.
Now, do you think, because I was talking to somebody this weekend, and they were basically like, because Kevin Moran's came back and raced this weekend, and whoever I was talking to, they were like, dude, the kid's got all the skills in the world on a bike, just like all these other guys. Literally, the difference between like him and Chase is like, Chase twists that throttle and rides a gear higher, just that much more. Like, do you feel, as an actual pro who ran nationals and supercrosses and stuff, is that something that you feel like let's just even go on the motocross side of things, on the outdoor side of things, is that just something you feel is like the difference between, like, say you and a Ken Roxon or you and an AC, is like they just twist that throttle and shift one more gear than you do on a track? Or
Yeah, I mean, that's really all it is to it. Like, you just have to go faster.
yeah. Okay.
Like, there's not, like, if we did corner segments and we would time corners, it was like, I'd only be like a 10th off or something like that. But then the second you come into like a super high speed sweeper that's like all whooped out and rough and like sketchy, and then through that segment I'll lose like 2 seconds. And it's just like their willingness to send it that little bit more and that little bit harder is the real difference. Because even when I was riding with the Star guys and watching Anstey and Deegan and all them, and I believe I was 4 seconds off of Deegan and I was 7 off of Anstey that day.
Okay.
And I'm just like watching them, and I'm just like, yeah, there's no way. Like, I don't want to go any faster than what I am going, because I feel like I'm on the edge of crashing, and they're showing me that I can go way faster and still not crash. But it's just one of those things that I'm not willing to risk. And that's why I am where I am and they are where they are. Like, that's all it is to it. I think it also comes down to how your brain can process things. That's a lot of the reason why I've felt like I'm on the edge, and I've heard top guys talk about, or not necessarily in moto, but like I've seen like interviews on YouTube and stuff of just top athletes saying how when they're at their peak, that it almost feels like they're doing everything in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
But you're obviously, like, things are coming at you slower. But for me, when I try and send it and go as fast as they are through a section, everything's just racing by me, and I literally feel like I could die at any second.
Yep.
And so it's just like, how do you get to that point where it slows down for you? And that was something that I was never willing to push past, I guess. I made small strides. I mean, believe me, if you would have seen me as an amateur, you would have never thought that I could qualify for a national or make a main event in my life. But I did. I qualified for, I don't even know, I probably qualified for at least 10 nationals now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more. And I made a main event, scored points. That was my ultimate goal. And I did that in Supercross. So it was like where I started at compared to these dudes and where I finished I was very, very happy with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just that's the thing that I would say stops me and a lot of these other dudes from getting to their level, is just that willingness to, you just got to send it for a while and get used to it, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I joke all the time because I've been on a track with Kev in both Supercross and motocross stuff, and the speed he goes by me, I'm just like, holy shit. And mind you, I'm a shitty sea rider. Like, don't get it twisted. I'm a shitty old sea rider, right? But then to think about, like, okay, cool, someone like a Danger Boy, a Sexton, or something like that is like 7 seconds a lap farther up the road than they are. I'm just like, it doesn't even make sense to me. Like, my brain can't process how fucking fast that is. Like, it's just ridiculous to think about. Like, I mean, you can't even process it. You're just literally going off muscle memory, I would have to say. And it just, it just blows my mind. And I'm like you, like, I'll probably never twist the throttle. I could ride every day and never twist the throttle as hard as you do, let alone those guys. Like, there's just no way. There's just zero chance. I'm of that age crazy now that I'm just like, dude, my brain is like, if you do that, all you're going to do is fucking die. And that's not going to be fun for anybody. So don't do that. Don't be stupid. And so I don't know, man. All right. I really appreciate you doing this, Eric.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Rattle off the Alias website again.
Yeah. AliasMX.com. And you can find us on Instagram too at Alias MX.
Cool.
And check us out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. No, looking at the stuff, I like it. I'll have to order some here. I'll try to get the right size this time, so I don't have to be like, "Hey man, you got any other sizes?" But yeah, we'll maybe we can have you on after Unadilla there. We can chat some more, buddy.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Cool, awesome. Well, thanks for doing this, man. We'll talk soon, buddy.
All right, sounds good.